You see the grossness that Adam Schiff is posting? I'll show a little bit of it. I don't want to show too much of it. Where is he? This guy. You know, I'm starting to believe Cash Patel. This guy's acting. He's definitely acting like a criminal. I'm just saying. He is literally now Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro, whatever was possessing Robert De Niro, has now left Robert De Niro's almost corpse-like body and has entered Adam Schiff. It's actually crazy.
Imprisonment in Russia. Another insane week. A lot of crazy happening. Another time for In Case You Missed It. In case you missed it, this gentleman was just released from Russia. This is Marc Fogel. But this segment is not about Marc Fogel or his wrongful imprisonment in Russia. This segment is about the reporter who is not allowed to cover the release of Marc Fogel. It is the same reporter not allowed to cover the swearing in of Tulsi Gabbard, and the same reporter not allowed to cover one of those bogus executive order signings. So why would Donald Trump not allow this AP reporter to cover all these things? Because the AP reporter wouldn't use this bogus Trump terminology, the Gulf of America, instead of the Gulf of Mexico. That boneheaded idea by Donald Trump to rename the Gulf, which had been called the Gulf of Mexico for 400 years. But it's not just about punishing the AP for not using his boneheaded language. The effort to censor the press goes much deeper. You'll remember before he was president, the Washington Post refused to run an op-ed endorsing Kamala Harris because the owner of the Washington Post.
Hold on. Let me just we got to just cover this really quick, what he's talking about. So this reporter is actually banned from the White House. They not even banned, they revoked. You get a pass. You get a pass. They revoked his pass. They said you're done. Hey, we don't even want AP here. Get on out of here. Let me tell you something. To act like you getting, and I talked about this before, for you to act like getting your pass revoked is censorship is so crazy. You don't have a right to just be in the White House. You're undermining the president, this, that. You don't even see Caitlin Collins doing anything like that. We've all seen her and Trump go at it and what that was like. Even she knows, I'm just going to do my job. I'm just here to do one thing. You can still do the news. There's no censorship. You work for AP, you can still put your stories out on AP. You could be outside the White House. And when you see a senator or you see a congressman, you can walk up to them and say, can I ask you a couple questions? You can ask them a couple questions, get a couple quotes, or don't, whatever it may be. You can hear from one of your associates that was in there. You could get one of your colleagues to ask a question. You could do so much. AP, you could start a YouTube channel and start live streaming in front of wherever you're allowed to be. You could do so much. He's not censored in the least. And this is not me just saying this because I have a bias towards, like, I think Trump is great. I think this administration is great. This is not that. I don't have a pass to the White House. I can't go to the White House. I make 20 videos a week. You're good. Go do whatever you got to do. Like, what is this? Oh, well, if I'm not allowed to stand 6 feet from the president, this is censorship. What? What? I've done so much positive press for the president. I haven't been within miles of the president. What? Are you kidding me? I don't even know if I want to go to the White House. I'd be too scared. I'd be too nervous. This guy, the audacity to think, Schiff and that reporter to think, oh man, look at the censorship going on just because he doesn't want to use that phrase. Hey, listen, you don't want to use that phrase? All good. They just don't want you there. Also all good. Again, you can still do stories. You can still cover the news. Every single bit of your audience, exposure, whatever you have, you still have it. They're not taking that away from you. They're just saying that you can't be in the White House. We just don't want you there. And also, here's the thing. You're going out of your way to not use the term Gulf of America. Listen, I don't know about you. When it was called the Gulf of Mexico, I barely ever said it. I only really started saying that and the Gulf of America to cover it in a video. When do you talk about the Gulf? When do you talk about the Gulf of America? So much so that it came up in a question when you're in front of the president. No. You made it an activist type thing, and you wanted to show your defiance in the White House. That's what that reporter tried to do. And good. You did your thing. Mission accomplished. George Bush style. Put up the banner. You did it. But you don't get to sit there now and be like, oh, I'm being censored. What are you talking about? Buddy. When I first started my first channel, I got 2 channels. I started my first channel. There would be some weeks I would make 90 videos. There would be some months I'd make 90 videos and 50 of them would get demonetized. Get out of here about censorship, bro. You don't know about censorship. You kidding me? What? Get out of here. Buddy, I'm telling you, man, I'm so glad that the White House was like, oh, we're going to bring in podcasters and blah, blah, blah. I'm so glad because they can't hang with us. Are you kidding me? The amount of research we have to do. We have to make sure we're telling the truth all the time. Oh, how sweet life would be if I could just lie about everything. What? If I could just make things up. You know how great that would be? To take notes. You know how many tabs I have open right now? This is ridiculous. 20 tabs open to make a video that's 20 minutes. It's crazy. I have to make a short documentary every video I make. This guy's talking about censorship. Oh my God. Whatever, man. I don't even get a salary. I only get what I make. This guy's getting paid by a company. Anyway, let's let this guy keep going.
Jeff Bezos, who just happens to be the chairman of Amazon, didn't want his business interests affected by endorsing Harris should Donald Trump win. And it wasn't just the Washington Post. The LA Times also wouldn't release its endorsement of Kamala Harris because its billionaire owner of the LA Times didn't want his business interests affected. Even more recently, the Washington Post was presented with an ad by a private organization calling for the firing of Elon Musk. They refused to run the ad, and this is what they had to say.
Let me actually read that. What does it say? Take that away. I want to see it. It says they were not at liberty to give us a reason. They don't want to give you a reason. No comment. It's so funny what this Schiff guy's trying to do. So nervous about everything that's happened. And he's really kicked it up since Kash Patel got in as a FBI director. Right now, he's trying to show this case of like Trump being an authoritarian towards the media. Again, I know about my biases, but I can see past them. He has censored people less than the past administration. And you can tell because the mainstream media was able to say things like Russia collusion. They were able to push these things that weren't real and that Adam Schiff was actually a part of. They were able to say whatever they wanted about him all the time, constantly. They would be defiant in the press briefing whenever he would have a press conference. They would be defiant to the press secretary as well. He never censored anybody. He never was like, oh, get this person out of here. He never approached Meta and said, throttle down this post that's true because we want you to, like the former administration did. He never did that to anybody. He didn't have Mark Zuckerberg doing all sorts of things, putting pressure on him. He didn't do any of that. He didn't do that to Jack Dorsey when it came to Twitter. In fact, they all kicked him off of their platforms. What are we talking about here, man? This is ridiculous. And this guy has a show. This is on YouTube. This is gross.
That's right. That's the only explanation they gave for refusing to run an ad calling for the firing of Elon Musk. You saw in the ABC News litigation where Donald Trump was suing ABC News, they agreed suddenly to settle for $16 million, to give Donald Trump $16 million because ABC was apparently unwilling to challenge Donald Trump anymore. He's also suing CBS.
You know I don't interrupt, but F this guy. I don't care about this guy. Usually it's for respect. What I have to say is worth more than what this guy has to say. Straight up. Straight up. I'm not playing around right now. This guy's saying ABC, like they were... This guy's got me tripping over my words here. That they didn't want to challenge him anymore. That's what he's saying. That's not what happened. They were wrong. What? They were wrong in the lawsuit, and they admitted they were wrong. They stated retractions and then paid the money. That's what it's not that they didn't want to challenge him anymore. They're like, "Oh, we actually kind of broke the law there." Okay, cool. Same with 60 Minutes. When 60 Minutes were like, "All right, we'll release the full thing." What? It's amazing the way these Democrats operate, because this guy, in his mind, he's just like, yeah, they broke the law, but they should be able to because Trump. What do you mean? Trump. Of course they should be able to break the law. They should be able to do whatever they want. That smug face this guy has. Wow. This guy. Oh, man. Listen, I'm so glad. Look, I usually don't care. It's like whatever happens to whoever, I'll cover it. I hope Kash Patel actually does investigate this guy. Kash Patel said that this guy needs to be investigated. I hope he does. Preemptive pardon, whatever. You can still be investigated even though you have a preemptive pardon. You know? Man, this guy's the worst. What you're seeing right now is somebody trying to spin the narrative, but he's doing it so aggressively. You know, like Joe Scarborough is bad. Mika, they're terrible. Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, they're all bad. But at least they do it in a way where they're like, we're presenting you with some information. He's just lying. He's just like, turn the camera on. It's time for me to just make some stuff up. He's like, we're just making stuff up. That's fine. You know? He's like someone that sees a comedian on stage and they go, oh, well, they're just talking. I can do that. That's what he's saying right now. He saw Joy Reid in all of her racist splendor, just saying a bunch of things. He's like, oh, she's just talking. I can do that. No, Adam, you can't just do that. This is terrible.
CBS claiming that the interview on 60 Minutes with Kamala Harris was unfairly edited. This is the kind that's going on Fox with all their editorial whatever. But nevertheless, he was demanding $10 billion from CBS, $10 billion with a B before he was president. Now that he's president, he's upped that to $20 billion to try to intimidate CBS. Well, there is a full-scale effort by Donald Trump to censor the press, and it's working. It's working. And this poses such a danger to the American people. We are a country with our First Amendment, proud that you can say anything you damn well please. But in Donald Trump's America, he wants to punish you for doing that. But here's what Donald Trump, King Donald Trump, has to say about that.
We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly.
Now, the key to understanding Donald Trump is that he means the exact opposite of what he says. So what he really means here is we have destroyed free speech in America, and we have destroyed it strongly.
Wow. We've done it, guys. We've done it. We found someone worse than Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid combined. We've done it, guys. Someone give him a show. Someone give him a show and sign him to a contract worth 9 figures. We've done it, guys. We found him. That's his real career. He should just be in the media. There you go. CNN, MSNBC, do a joint venture. Just bring it together. Both you guys give him $75 million each. Obviously, that's what should be happening right now. This is oh, Donald Trump, you got to understand him. He actually means the opposite. Do you know how oddly Orwellian that is to have a politician play a clip of someone saying, I feel we have saved free speech. And then he comes on the screen and goes, what he means is he's destroyed free speech. That's what you have to understand in order to know what he means. What? At least build it up. You know, at least Rachel Maddow would be like, oh, I have this point here and this point here. So actually he's destroyed free speech. You know, she would at least try to bring you over to that point. This guy's just like, this is how it works, right? I just say things. The American people, they listen, right? That's how it works. That's how it's always worked, right? And then they give me their money. Yes. Fantastic. And then they elect me again. Yes. Good. That's how it should be. Oh man, Adam Schiff, man, got me TED talking. This guy got me TED talking. Okay, I don't even have other clips for this dude. No, and I'm definitely not finding another clip of him. Ew, no, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. That was 3 minutes. That was 3 minutes and 16 seconds. That felt like 30 minutes of just nonsense. Oh man, it's so weird the way that they will try to twist reality. You know, I always say about people you see in the mainstream media, they're and guys like this, they're there more to mold your reality than they are to bring you the truth. That's not what they're trying to do. You know, they're definitely not doing what I do. I've never really seen anybody do it where, you know, they admit their biases, you know? Like imagine Rachel Maddow was just like, I don't necessarily like Trump, and I'm paid by many companies to say things that are disparaging to him. And in fact, there is a governmental aspect to what I do. I can't get into that too much, but just know that the things that I am saying have been completely prepped by someone else, and I am just the vessel that they use. If she said that, you'd be like, okay, I know what I'm watching. But you wouldn't watch, right? I tell you I'm a Trump supporter. I tell you I'm conservative. I tell you I'm Christian. I want you to understand where it's all coming from. You know what I mean? I want you to get it. I want you to understand me as I'm saying things. And if those things that I just mentioned are like, oh, I don't like any of those things, it's like, okay, well then you can take what I'm saying, you can toss it out if you want. Or you can stay for the jokes. Or you can stay for the handsome face. Huh? You can stay for the handsome face. Right? But it's interesting the way it's just becoming more and more blatant that that's what they do. And a lot of people, I've heard Rogan talk about it, I've heard Musk talk about it. They talk as though it's happening because we have access to so much information. And I don't know if that's why. If that's why people are waking up to it. I guess that is. I guess it's the amount of information. You could come to a channel like this, and there's many others on YouTube, and there's so many people on X, and things get hashed out within minutes. Like you can see the scaffolding of any situation very clearly. And then you'll see people who have their leanings. Then you'll see mainstream media with their leanings. And it becomes more clear from there. But I don't know, man. The more I watch it, like, you know that movie They Live? The more I watch all this stuff, because now I have to watch CNN. I have to, like, I'm subscribed to them, and I have to watch MSNBC, and I have to see what they're saying, and I have to watch guys like that. The more I take in that information, the more it's like, you know the movie They Live? Some younger people aren't gonna know what I'm talking about. You know that movie They Live? And then he lifts the glasses and he puts them on. You know, it's just an advertisement, and then it says obey. I see that more and more. Like, to me, for some people, this dude's just annoying. To me, that's this whole video of him is so Orwellian. It's so wildly Orwellian that this guy can just come, do this, and I guess this is the beauty of the internet, right? I mean, he's on X. It says watch on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel, apparently, right? I guess that's the beauty of things. But the fact that he could just upload this, make a bunch of things up, as many as he can, nothing's founded in the truth. Every single thing he brought up, he's like, oh, the LA Times didn't pick a candidate this year. And that's because Trump's censoring them. They're afraid of Trump. That's not true. It's because they're a business. And they might actually have the mindset of, we don't want to endorse Trump. but we definitely can't endorse Kamala. So this year we're just going to do what every business should do, and we're just going to stay out of it. That's not the worst thing in the world. It's a news outlet. They shouldn't even be doing that. It's so odd that in a lot of people's minds, especially this dude's mind, he thinks a news outlet should pick sides. And if they don't pick the side that he wants, it's because the other side is scaring them. While also him endorsing an administration that was trying to intimidate social media companies and news sources. And it just keeps happening, man. And I don't know when it's going to stop because, you think Trump's going to get in office and it's going to stop, but it's only going to ramp up because now they're in hyperdrive. Before they were trying to keep an administration going and a regime going. That's what they were trying to do. Now they're trying to tear one down. Now they're trying to tear an administration down. They want no one to have any confidence in this man or all the brilliant people that he has brought into his administration. They want no people to feel any joy in the government shrinking and their tax dollars being put in better places or even back in their pockets. Have you heard MSNBC talk about the External Revenue Office the External Revenue I think it's External Revenue Office, but it's basically the opposite of the IRS. The IRS takes from the people. This idea that Trump has would be taking from other countries. It would be just racking up all the duties, all of the tariffs, and instead of focusing on the people giving money, it would just get the money that runs the government from all those things, all the reciprocal tariffs and big tariffs that Trump plans to put on people. Yeah. You heard anybody talk about that? You heard CNN talk about that? They haven't even mentioned it. You hear MSNBC talk about that? Trump was just with a bunch of black people. He was just celebrating Black History Month. You hear them talk about that? And it's interesting. And that's how you know that these companies are this weird necessary evil because that are, ran by something other than just greedy millionaires who want them to hit their bottom lines. It's way more than that, obviously. Because how much more respect would they have if occasionally they would just go, well, here's one great thing that Donald Trump's done. He's brought a bunch of African Americans into the White House and he's celebrating Black History Month. A lot of people were scared because they said they weren't going to celebrate those type of things in certain government departments, the Pentagon being one of them. But Trump has shown a better side of himself and he has all these African Americans and they're celebrating Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks is a communist, if you didn't know. But that's a little side note. That's what they would say in my news station. We would bring up Rosa Parks and her husband going to communist meetings, but nobody wants to talk about that. MLK being surrounded by communists, but we won't talk about that. But, you don't hear them talk about anything like that. You'd respect them so much more if they just came around every once in a while, but they can't do it. Can't do it. That shows that, again, the control is not just pharma. It's not just that. It's something deeper. The same way if we had an MSNBC files, the same way we had a Twitter files, it would blow our minds. I mean, what were those companies? I think it was Politico. There's various organizations, news organizations that had offices in the Pentagon. I don't know how we saw the Twitter files, okay? And we saw how aligned the government was, or how much of a grapevine there was. They were just on email chains together. It was like they were colleagues. It was, hey, we have these accounts. We just need you to silence these accounts. And they were like, no problem, we'll silence those accounts. We look at that and we go, wow, that's crazy. But then you find out there's different organizations they have offices in the Pentagon. I think CNN was one of them. Let me see this. Hold on a second. Who had these offices in the Pentagon? Because I saw Benny Johnson announce it, and then he said some other ones. Evicted from Pentagon news outlets. Let's see. Who was in the CNN got evicted from their office at the Pentagon? Like, why does CNN have an office at the Pentagon? And then they said they're gonna staff it with somebody else instead. Isn't that insane? Like New York Post, I think, or something they said is gonna now be in there. Yeah. Here it is. I knew I saw it before. Evicted New York Times, NPR, NBC, Politico, and of course CNN because they're talking about it. From their Pentagon offices to make room for One America News Network, the New York Post, Breitbart News Network, and HuffPost. What? Is that good? Like, is that one thing we're supposed to celebrate? Again, I can see past my biases. Is that a good thing? I don't think it is. I've said it before. If you figure out I have an office in the Pentagon, stop listening. Do not hit like. Do not hit subscribe. Do not turn on the notifications. Don't. Obviously don't. What? That's crazy. I don't know. What's the difference between that and what was going on at Twitter? But again, just going back to my point, just keeping that same memory chain. If there was a MSNBC files, it would rattle our brains way more than the Twitter files did. CNN files, it'd make you go crazy. Man. You wouldn't even be like, my dad watches. My dad's just watching it. You'd be like, you cannot. Dad, stop. You know what I mean? You'd have a real sit down with your parents. Yeah, man. I don't know. This guy sent me on a whirlwind. I just wanted to play this and just make a quick video for you guys, but I don't know what's going on. It's funny because I'm young in comparison to this whole thing, but how long has this been going on? We often as people have this mindset that that the things that we figure out have never been figured out before, or we figured it out and it's only been happening for so long. But it's like, how long has this been happening when it comes to news and twisting stories and molding reality and journalism not being journalism? How long has that been going on for? Like everybody knows about Mockingbird, right? Like, did that stop? Probably not. And you know what? Definitely not. As I'm saying that, definitely not. Because I've said it 100 times on here. For sure, they're going to have people. For sure, they're going to have journalists who are actually working for people behind the scenes, we'll just say. Of course, they would have that. And then, of course, they would have news anchors doing the same thing. And then, of course, they would have YouTubers doing it. Goes without saying. Of course, they would have YouTubers doing it. And even more so, and I think I brought this up before as well, even think past that, they would have people who were on YouTube who were compromised to that extent. Then they would also have them on Rumble, because there's a certain amount of people who are on there that won't go to the YouTube, right? They say the real stuff's there. And then they'll have it even further on the fringes where they will make somebody look completely deplatformed off everything and have you believe that they're the real stuff. I think I brought this up before. I'm sorry if I didn't, you remember. But it's like the whole theory of, the movie The Matrix, how Zion is the Matrix, and that's why Neo has powers to like shut down the robots when he's outside of the Matrix. It's because they're still in the Matrix. I don't know. It's interesting. I hope you put on your tinfoil Speedo. I hope you didn't come here with just pants on and boxers, man. It's a mistake. I've made that clear so many times on here. It's a mistake to walk up in boxers. Thongs for the ladies. Although they're nice, a tinfoil Speedo will do you much better. Okay? I've made that clear many times on here. Man, it just makes you think sometimes, huh? You know, I wonder who it is sometimes. Who are the people who are, like Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan one time, they were sitting down and Lex is like, do you think I know anybody? He's like, do you think I know anyone who's in the agency? And Joe was like, yeah. He's like, I think you do. He's like, I think you've been approached by people before that are around you. And Joe was just so sure of it, Like, I wonder who. Because also, here's another thing, right? You can look into this. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but like Laurel Canyon, the way that there are so many people who were all in this one place and they were all rock stars of that time. I believe it was the 60s, and they were all related to people who were heavily involved in intelligence. Like, that's weird. Did that stop? Like, why stop things that are clearly working? Man, makes you wonder. I don't know who it is. I don't know who they are. Is it me? That would be crazy. This would be such a bad rabbit hole for me to go down if it was me. But I'm severely worried about money, and I have a lurking thought in my head all the time that if I don't work as hard as possible, I'm going to be homeless. So I don't think it's me. Whoever's doing this, I have to say, they're doing well for themselves. You know what I mean? They're doing good for themselves. A lot of people real well off. And then when you look at the numbers they do across platforms, doesn't add up. I'm getting too deep now. I'm not going to tell you guys about the numbers. I notice numbers ain't adding up. Numbers ain't numbering. Math's not mathing, Where you getting your money from? I don't know, man. Anyways, I just want see this. I didn't even plan to do all this, but this is why I want to go live, because I know there'd be somebody there who's tuned in, Maybe it's you. Maybe not. Maybe you're a square, okay? I don't know. But there'd be somebody there that's tuned in, and they would have info for me, or they'd be asking questions. So I'm going to get into it, but then it's going to be live on YouTube. YouTube's got to be careful. That's all I'm saying, Got to be careful. But I'm careful already. I'm careful on here. I don't swear. I don't play videos that have swearing. And people always ask me why I do that. Some people get mad. On my other channel, it's Joe Rogan. There's a lot of swearing. They're like, why are we swearing? Why are you censoring so many words? And it's like, because there's a guy who has a kid, and his kid comes in the room. And now I know, because I got a kid. And sometimes your kid comes in the room, and you can't have something on that just has swearing in it every 10 seconds. You can't. So now all of a sudden, this guy's sitting, he's watching his thing on TV, and the kid comes in and they're swearing, and then the wife comes in. The wife's like, why are you playing this? He's going to hear the swear words. And the next thing you know, he can't watch it. So he has to put on Netflix or something, And now he's watching something he doesn't want to watch. That's why. For all you people, you kidless people. It's hard, man. So I do it for that. And then some people are like, I watch this with my kid. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? You do what now? So I tone it down for those people. I really feel for parents, especially now that I am one. I'm still at the age, the kid's still at the age where I can swear. They don't know how to imitate it, so we can still like get away with it here and there, but it's like, gotta pull it back, gotta get ready, because pretty soon it's just gonna be, You're gonna say the F word, and they're gonna look you right in the eye, and they're gonna say the F word right back, and then you're like, and then they look at you and they go, and you go, shit, and they go, shit, and you're like, oh man, now I'm a bad parent. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's the reason I do that. But I think one day I'm just gonna name all the people I think are feds. There's a bunch of them. I want to name them so bad. I want to name them so bad. There's so many. I can think of. There's a bunch on X. Oh yeah, and you can tell because they're like all friends. It's like as they're coming up, they're not connected, but somehow they're shouting each other out. And then there's always these two people who shout. This is my theory. There's always these two people who shout out these people who are up and coming. And then after they do that, it's like a whirlwind happens, and all of a sudden they're just in the X sphere of influence out of nowhere. And I've watched it happen countless times. Two people. I'm not going to name them. And I'm going to end this podcast because I'm getting close to naming them. Somebody was in the comment section. They guessed a few. And I'm getting close. I'm not going to do it. You guess. Not in the comments. Just in your head. I don't know. Anyways, stay away from that conversation. Right? You know what I will do? Because pretty soon I'm going to announce dates where I'm going like on tour. Because I want to do some shows in LA. I want to do some in New York, Texas, of course. I want to go to like real conservative places. I'll probably go to like places like Idaho. And I know you're like, you're going to go to Idaho? Oh, I'm going to go. Oh, I get along with the whitest of whites, my friend. Okay. Just understand me right there. I'm one of the good ones. I've had too many white people say that to me. You're one of the good ones. Cool. I'm fine. But when I'm on stage, then I'll name them then. 100%. I'll name them like crazy. I'll go off. Anyways, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.